hospital, and I thought you might be crunching on a turkey leg or something coming
Not
in
yet.
here.
Not yet.
Not,
Of course, being a dietitian takes skin off, right?
well, white meat only.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I kind of like. Well, every
you
once in a
know,
while, dark meat's good
that's
too.
that's my biggest weakness. Chicken and turkey. I love the dark
Oh, yeah.
meat. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
White meat's okay. Usually it dries out pretty quick.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
cook it perfect, though, there's nothing better than some really good,
Oh, sure.
nice, soft, juicy white meat. But I really do like dark meat.
Yeah, that's probably why you got a little bit more fat in there, but we don't like that dried out
no.
white meat either. If you
No,
cook appropriately,
no,
it's pretty good.
I totally understand. But anyway, good to have you, my friend.
Good to be here.
And I know you are a busy guy, and you've been tearing up the highways and tearing up the books and tearing up the nights and
Yeah.
everything
Hey,
else.
that's part of it.
But yeah, very, very good. Well, again, thank you for coming in today. Normally we would have Jason in on Thursday, but he wants to eat
Something's
that.
going on
He
tomorrow.
wants to eat that dark meat is what he wants to do, and then watch a little football. Hopefully, get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
Don't forget some carrots and taters and gravy and green beans, and
Get your vitamins and minerals.
don't forget. I would tell the dietitian, don't forget about your desserts.
Well, we can put fruit on top of those.
All right, so let's while we're throw you in dietitian mode here for just a minute though
Sure,
first before
sure.
we do anything, because Thanksgiving is when people do tend to overindulge,
Mm-hmm.
and we all know, and you've told me many times, you pay for it the next day and the next day and the next day when you overindulge. You can, depending upon the type of food you eat, but you can also spread this Thanksgiving meal out over the whole weekend and really have a fantastic feast and do it properly, right?
Absolutely. I mean, people tend to overeat when it comes to this because you have so much food and you feel like you have to pick everything.
Obligated, right?
Right, right. So, I mean, there are multiple days that we can save this food. And, and if you pace and you don't want to overindulge in one single food. There's a variety of different things. And there's so many vitamins and minerals in different foods that we have, from the potatoes, the sweet potatoes with beta carotene, vitamin A, potassium. So eat a variety of different foods, but don't overindulge in one. Eat a variety and give your body time and let your brain catch up to your stomach.
And don't leave that food sit out all day.
Oh, sure. You
Which
don't want
is-
foodborne illness.
Yeah, if it's a harbor for not feeling well
Oh,
the
yeah.
next day. We'll move that. There you go.
Yeah.
I want you to kick
Yeah,
that.
kicking the trash can.
Yeah, they don't want you to do that. So, again, we all know, and it's always great. And then sometimes you start eating that food and it tastes so good, you just want to keep eating. But slow it down. Give yourself some time to digest. And if you eat a meal at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you can snack a little bit, 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. But don't overindulge. You'll feel it the next day.
Oh,
and,
sure.
you told me a long time ago, yeah, you can, if you get into a nice rhythm of how you eat and the right foods on how you eat, you can break off that, but you might notice it the next day. Usually you feel like a blob.
Right. Now, your metabolism. Your
Yeah.
metabolism just slows, and you definitely feel it, especially if you're used to eating a good, well-balanced meal. Your metabolism's high, your energy level's up, but when you start overindulging with the foods, not necessarily stereotypical Thanksgiving meal,
Sure.
but you overeat on the foods that you don't necessarily would eat all the time, the high, simple sugars, and, and that's where your metabolism slugs down.
Yeah, there's a lot of desserts usually at
Oh, sure.
Thanksgiving time, and a lot of people tend to overindulge on desserts because you get that nice hot apple pie or pumpkin pie out there, and then of course you got the topping, and you got to have some ice cream with that.
Sure.
And then but
Well, I
you
can
gotta-
justify anything.
and then you
Calcium,
have,
protein.
exactly. But usually there's not just one pie. There's
Oh, yeah.
usually 3 to 5 pies. It was like my grandmother's house used to be like 6 pies waiting for you. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And she expected you to eat the whole pie.
Oh, well, sure.
If she baked it for you, like my favorite was chocolate pie. So she'd always make me a chocolate pie. That was my chocolate pie.
And you better get
And
it
I
done.
better eat it, yeah. I had a whole day to eat it, but I better eat it. Anyway, nonetheless. Well, we're here to talk a little bit about the hospital board meeting last night. And, of course, we want to appreciate Jason, again, for taking the time to come in. Kind of a real quick turnaround, so we'll go ahead and go through this. We won't take forever going through it, but there's some good stuff, and there's
Sure.
some stuff that if somebody looks at it, probably scratch their head a little bit. Because that's always the case.
Absolutely.
Because you never understand. October's that fourth quarter, and a lot of times fourth quarter in the hospital biz starts to pick up. Usually December, January, February are kind of the catalyst months there. But October is that change of season. You start to see a lot more colds. Just the flu starts coming back. We all know it starts to get there. It's just a matter of time. But first, before we go into all that, let's go into your report. First off, you had a cost report update about getting ready for the audit.
Yeah, we had our consultant that we have, John Brenstetter. He we're using him. He's doing an excellent job at getting us prepared for the audit, and he's got all the work papers completed along with our team, and we're just awaiting the auditor's final report on that. But we're in good shape to have that completed by the end of the month.
Always interesting, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Audit reports are always fun.
Never a dull moment.
Well, and the thing is, usually when you do get the audit report, there may be some adjustments made. That's what the auditors do. They come in, and then of course whatever Medicare sends back to you, and there's always adjustments there. So
Sure.
it's never somebody said, why can't they just do go through their financial statements like on QuickBooks and see it? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And this, it's specific to cost reports, so. When your year-end audit, we'll hit that head whenever we get there. But, this getting prepared for that's our first step.
Well, sure, absolutely. But if you don't do that right, it takes even longer when the auditors get there. Absolutely. All right, cybersecurity and infrastructure securities. This stuff has been going on for a long time. There's grants out there, things of that nature. How's the hospital handling this, Chase?
We did have a testing, and it was completed.
Right.
There were some things, and we did get a draft report. We have currently in review of that. There were some things. I mean, you're going to find stuff, and that's what we want them to do.
Sure.
In comparison to other hospitals like us, pretty good shape. We did find some things we need to mitigate, and we're mitigating those right now. We're working with our IT department, and we'll get the final report to where we can get that final score, and I have a feeling we're going to be in pretty good shape.
The hardest thing is technology keeps changing.
Sure. Sure.
So as soon as you accomplish this goal, you're already behind.
Yeah.
In the IT world.
Sure, and cybersecurity is huge right now. So we have to make sure to protect ourselves as a hospital.
Very good.
And our public.
Very good. CLIA inspection of the lab, there was a few deficiencies, but you're well on your way to getting those corrected, right?
Those were all ready. We have corrected those and sent our plan of correction to CMS, so we're just awaiting to make sure, and they will revisit. We just unexpected visit. So we're just waiting to hear back from them.
Very good. Okay, Iron County Doe Run. This has been ongoing now for, I think, 5 years now?
Yeah.
Doe Run has been challenging the tax entities that they're paying too many taxes.
Sure.
What they're saying is their property's been overvalued for all these years, and they don't want to pay the taxes that are due.
Yep.
Well, that's a big chunk of taxes to Salem Hospital, isn't it?
Yeah, that's going to be pretty huge, and that's not just for Salem Hospital.
No,
surrounding communities.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just want to make sure to be on top of that and just be involved in that. And it sounds like they're more of going to take legal action because not necessarily the hospital, but Iron County. So
right. Well, it's Iron County, but it also will involve Denton County and
Absolutely.
surrounding areas because they'll all be affected by this outcome of whatever happens on the valuation. And so, yes, it is the Iron County's assessment. That goes right through their direct assessor, so that's who they're going through, but it will affect all the surrounding areas to boot as well. All right, ready to launch transportation project. SMTS has been involved in this, and that is moving forward now?
It is moving forward. We have actually gave a letter of participation that this is a 1-year pilot program to fill the gaps that, if we need to have transportation issues with individuals that after hours maybe, or they can't get to certain things.
When they come by ambulance, then they got to go home. How do they get home?
Exactly. So this is kind of an exciting project that we want to be involved with for our community to be able to get them to their health care that they need, or even home to where they need it.
It's an address a need we haven't had in our community in a long time. We used to have a couple local taxis here.
Sure.
Been quite a few years since we've actually had that, and especially after hours, because it does, not everybody's health issues come during normal working business hours. Some of them come at 10 o'clock at night or 3 in the morning.
And it's, if you don't have family members around, or a way to get to where you need to go, it's going to be nice to have something like this to be able to get home or get to where you need to go.
Exactly. And a lot of times it's just precautionary that you go to the hospital and then they release you and you got no way to get there. You know, no way to get back home. Very good. So keep us informed. Is there a time when that is expected to it be initiated? Jason, has that been brought up?
To my knowledge, it's not been brought up yet. I mean, I think it's still in the planning stages.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. All right, the Delta Project. A lot of work is going in on that. Can you update us on that, would you please?
Sure. We had actually Delta was on site along with Forvis for that project to go through the RCM and PPM planning, RCM revenue cycle management, and physician practice management, the planning and to getting the plan of what we're going to do to fix, if any, the issues that we have with revenue cycle management and physician practice management. They were on site to work through that. They were actually facilitating and how our SMDH team can develop our plan. So, and how do we go about what do we want to do and the steps that we want to put in place to fix these issues. So it's pretty exciting. We're going to continue to follow up and get the final report here probably in the next couple of weeks. So, and this is going to be a year to 18 months project, so it's going to gradually, you know, and the whole team's going to be working together.
Right. There's a lot of stuff going on right now at the hospital, and one of the things that I didn't see on here, but I'm sure it was brought up, the Torch program that you have just recently partnered with Unite Us, right?
Yep.
Did you guys touch on that at the meeting? I don't see it in there.
We didn't touch on that, but that's kind of an ongoing project that we're going to be involved with, and you know, with 6 other community hospitals that are also involved with that. So always continue to move forward, and I'm excited to get with it. I actually went to MHA and met with Unite Us. I mean, we're getting a pretty good networking going on, so it's going to be fun to watch.
Very good, because that sounds like a great project as well, and I'm hoping it all works out just the way that you want it to.
Sure.
You know, but there's a lot of moving parts.
Oh,
to
there's
that
a
with all
lot.
the different organizations. So
there's so many moving parts and different things between Torch and the Ready to Launch, and you got surveys, you've got, it's just ongoing and ongoing. So it's everywhere.
Sounds good. Sounds very good. All right, let's move on a little bit. Something that people may not have even remembered, but the chaplains out at the hospital.
Sure.
They used to do regular rounds. You used to see them out there all the time, and then, you know, kind of right at COVID, that kind of all came fluttering down to an end, didn't it?
Sure.
But that's kind of becoming reorganized again, correct?
Yep. We're bringing that back on board. And their chaplain, we're having meetings consistently, and we actually just recently had a meeting last week to work on a 6-week rotation for them. So we're bringing that back. It's a much-needed service for our community, and we appreciate the chaplains for being involved with that.
It's definitely an uplifting event when you see the chaplains in there. Very good. 340B optimization implementation.
Yep.
Can you update that?
Sure. We have our previous consultant, Jeremiah McWilliams, who had previously, when RHG was here, had stepped away. But we're actually looking at bringing him back because there is some optimization that we can be doing for our 340B program, and he is very much on top of those types of things. So bringing him on board to be able to look at maybe some referral, low-hanging fruit for 340B. And so there's actually some other legislation coming out that he has come aware of that we're going to be speaking on the 1st of December before we work on this December 14th, the actual implementation plan for that optimization program.
Hard to keep up with all this stuff.
Several things.
Because some of them kind of sound like they almost overlap each other.
Sure.
You know, so, and in the hospital business, a lot of things overlap each other. So that's not unusual. But when you're trying to implement new programs and get things going, I guess it could be really easy to get your T's crossed with a H.
Oh, sure. Sure. And the key is not letting the ball drop. So where things, you have a lapse in time. So that's where it can hurt you. And that's why we're trying to keep away from.
All right, very good. Let's talk a little bit about the summary of operations, unless you have something else you wanted to interject. Are you good to go there?
Yep.
All right, well, for the month, it really was about, in some cases, about a normal month. A little bit down in the acute care patients per day. Swing bed was a little bit lower. I think expected that kind of drive some of those numbers. I was there.
Yeah.
No, that was in November. Well, this is October. So,
this is October.
Anyway, so that'll help those numbers for November.
Well, I appreciate that. Always supporting.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I always am. But nonetheless, though, even though there's only 4 swing bed patients, you had 83 inpatient census days, so they were there for quite a while.
Right. Right. That's correct.
And sometimes that takes a while to do that. But as far as that was probably the biggest noticeable difference for the month of October. Everything else pretty well about normal, unless you see something that stands out that I did not.
No, I mean, in October is pretty much just a little bit down compared to what our monthly operations budget was budgeted for. So not so much out of the trend when you look from October of 2022. So.
And October actually was a fairly mild month.
Yes. Yes, it was.
You know, when you look at that, and then really just had a couple of tweaks in it. And November, to be honest with you, Jason, has been a very mild month.
Right.
Not the normal November we usually see with the wetness and the cool temperatures. And it's still fall, but it hasn't felt like fall. It's
Right.
been dry for 20 days.
Sure. As soon as you say that, we're going to start seeing it.
Well, we really need to see some moisture. I mean, we
Sure.
saw a little bit this past, couple days, and shoot, that was nothing.
You're right.
You know,
Right.
ground just said there, is that it?
Yeah. Need a good steady.
Good steady rate. Emergency room visits were a little bit below normal, but again, like I said, it's just been a dry and calm month. We did have ambulance runs, though, that just about where we normally see it. It seems like more patients, though, transported this time, a little bit higher than normal. Usually it's about a 66, 33, 60, 40, somewhere in there. But the dry runs, when people say, well, why would you do a dry run? We always talk about that. You're called out as soon as an accident happens. Matter of fact, I saw an ambulance crew get called out while I was there in the emergency department, and it was for an accident. They had to bring patients back. So while I was in the ER, they left and brought the patients back.
Yep.
So not a dry run,
Right.
but
And
a
a lot
very
of
important, critical run because that accident was down by bus.
Yeah, and you may get a call, and you get transported. You get halfway down there, and they call and say we're not needed. So
Don't need it.
Yep.
Yeah, they refuse treatment and they don't want it. Yeah, very good. Operating statement showed a bit of a loss, but there's some things going on, some extenuating circumstances, some of that. You guys are having to kind of recover some accounts payable that
Yeah.
have been conveniently ignored for a few months.
yeah, I would say neglected.
Okay, neglected.
Yeah. So we are in a we're cleaning up our AP processes that have been going on for quite some time actually. So we're cleaning up those issues, and so when you see invoices that we may not even know we had, not necessarily because of it's just lack of staffing processes, and
Transition.
Exactly, transition. Things were not being looked into appropriately.
Yeah.
The best way to say it. So we are hence cleaning those up. So that's where you may see a little bit of more of those funds that we have to go to make sure AP is taken care of.
Which lowers the cash flow, obviously,
Absolutely,
when you
yeah.
have to pay out all these bills. And people are wanting to know where their money is.
Sure.
And then you're asking, well, we don't have an invoice.
Yeah.
And they're more than happy to send you one.
Sure. Sure. And we want it. We need
Oh,
to get that on record.
absolutely,
We have
but-
to get that on file.
But when you're led to believe that that's already either been paid or it didn't exist, kind of comes, not totally as a shock, but kind of a, here we go again.
Yep. And we got to clean that up and make sure they get paid and taken care of.
All right, very good. So really, but overall, the financials don't look all that bad, when you look at it, and knowing that we have to do what we have to do. Still have a good balance sheet, still solid. 29 days cash on hand, but that's still okay. And that varies every single day. It all
Every day.
depends on the snapshot you take.
Sure.
One day it'll be 35, the next day it'll be 28.
Yep. It all depends.
It all depends on the timing of the report. So, anything you wanted to mention? Because I'm kind of going through this kind of quick. I know you got things to do today because you got the holiday coming up.
Yep. Yep.
So, but I think everything looks fairly normal as far as I would say for the month. Did you see anything else that you wanted to make a comment on?
No, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, and touching and hitting and make sure we had a lot of the payables that we had to make sure, and that may drop the cash. So, but it's kind of the stuff you have to do.
It is. All right, so the clinic has done well. I mean, now some people say, well, if the clinic's making money, how come the hospital's out? Well, the clinic's making money on their operations, direct operations.
Sure.
And the thing is, though, is there's overhead with the clinic that is absorbed by the hospital that's not being attributed to that, but it's all part of the whole process, isn't
Yes,
it?
it's all in the basket, they
Yeah.
say. So those indirect costs from benefits and different things that should come in out of different departments, those things, it all goes
Sure.
into one bucket. So you don't get to see all that that's pulled out.
But the direct cost, and that's what I always say. Because when we did the pool, I said the direct cost of the pool, we made money the first year it opened when we did the renovations. So I said, how'd you make money? I said, well, we didn't make money, but we made money on the operations, direct operations of that, because we had to pay off the pool construction.
Sure.
Well, we sure didn't make that $100,000 of extra money that year to pay that off and make a profit, but we did make a profit on the operations because that's a long-term debt.
Sure.
And the same thing happens with these the employee benefits. They're going to happen whether the doctor's there 1 day or 10 days.
Sure.
Doesn't make any difference. The benefits and things. It's a fixed. I always kind of call them a floating fixed cost. It is a fixed cost. It's not. It's going to incur no matter what.
Right.
It's just how do you deal with it? It's
Yeah.
all. But it's not just in the hospital or in the clinic. It's kind of waves from one to the other because they're spending time in both locations.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, very good. All right,
Excuse me.
so very good. You got an interim clinic director now and nurse director since Chrissy is no longer with the hospital.
Yeah, the Tina Pabin has been with the hospital for 22 years.
Long
and
time.
Yeah, she stepped in as interim clinic director as well as nurse manager. So it's kind of a combination. It's what she was having before, so we appreciate her stepping up and taking control.
Very good.
Yep.
340B revenue. This is the drug program, and this has continued to be a very good benefit for the hospital. Hasn't
Sure.
It?
And any time that we can capitalize and look for more low-hanging fruit, this is a great program for the hospital and the community. So that's why we're bringing on Jeremiah McWilliams to make sure our consultant to make sure we capitalize on all that for our
Right.
community. So it's going to be exciting to see what comes further with that.
And it has been profitable already, even
Yep.
before Jeremiah gets in here and
Sure.
takes a good look.
Yep.
All right, very good. Chief Nursing Officer report.
Yep. Ashley was there and reported on the current nurse openings. We are seeing some good applicants come in and coming back to the team, and we're excited about that. So, hired a new full-time surgery director. We got a couple full-time, but we have started filling. We did fill a night nurse that come on and another weekend shift. So, some good stuff coming on, and we're excited about our nurse. And I think it has a lot to do with the people understand the culture. The one team, one fight, one family. I keep saying
absolutely.
it. So, and I want people to understand that's where we're headed, and that's where we're going to be. It's back to all together is taking care of the community as one.
Well, and for those people that don't buy into that, Jason, if they want to move on, because they will bring down the team,
Sure.
they will bring down the family if they don't want to be part of that, or if they maybe they just don't understand it, and they say, well, I'm not going to do that, or that doesn't work for me. Well, if it doesn't work for you, maybe it's time for you to move on.
Sure, absolutely.
And unfortunately, I think that transition has already happened, and a lot of those people who may have felt that way have left, and you've replaced them with more people that are more of the type of, I want to get on board with that. That sounds more like fun. That might be what I want to be involved in. I will say I was admitted in the hospital here a few weeks back, and talk about nothing but great care. I mean, every nurse came in, worked with me, talked with me, joked with me. It's just a pleasure to be around. I've been in St. Louis hospitals when nurses come in, they're cold, they come in, I got to take your blood. They stick you with a needle, they walk out, they don't even say hello.
Yeah.
And so that's not the case at your hospital. These girls come in, or the guys come in, they start talking to you. How you doing today? Anything I can get you? Are you fine? I'm going to have to come and take your blood pressure. I'm going to have to come and take some blood. You good with that? You're afraid of needles? They ask you every question. See, like, no, go ahead, draw your blood. Miss Vampire, take it away,
Yeah.
And it's just comforting. You don't have to feel when they come in the room like you got to be on edge.
Right. And that's not Salem Hospital.
No,
We're not.
it's not.
It's always been about family in our community. When you got family taking care of family is what I say, because you walk in and you see so many people, not just your staff, the patients, them.
Yeah.
You know them. We're a small community. We know people, and that's the way it needs to be. It's family taking care of family.
Yeah. Same thing with the doctors. They come in, they talk to you, and they come back and answer the questions you have. If you've got the time with them, take the time. And
Sure.
if you've got concerns, ask them when they're there, when they're making their rounds. That's why they're there, to make sure you're okay. They're checking all the tests, and they're checking to see why you're there. But at the same time, they don't know if you've suddenly got a pain here or something is different, or maybe you've gotten anxious overnight. Maybe you have a concern that you just don't understand what's going on with you. That's when you talk to the doctor, or talk to the nurses and let them bring the doctor back in and say, God, I'm afraid of this, or I'm concerned about this. Find out why you might be concerned. Might be something personal that you didn't want to let out, and it's just building up. That's what the doctors are there for. So, they're a great resource, and they'll tell you exactly what's going on. I kind of thought I'd be there one day, and when the first thing the doctor came in, he says, "You're not going home." Okay, we'll take that right off the table. Well, he goes, well, you could go home. He goes, but here's the thing. And they explain why they're making this decision. And that, Jason, you know as well as I do, that is so key. Because if you're just sitting there wondering, you don't know, they'll say, this is why I don't want you to go home.
Right.
And they said, you've done this, we've got you to this level, but you peaked, you spiked. And what good is it going to be if I send you home and you spike again?
Sure.
And first thing you're going to come right back here. Let's get it to a level we know is consistent, controlled, and then we'll send you home.
Having the knowledge and having the understanding of what you're going through says a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and just to be able to feel comfortable about that.
Right. And they will just sit there and talk to you like one-on-one, not like doctor to patient, just like friend.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, and that's how you feel. That's how I've always felt that way when I've been at Salem Hospital. So very good. So moving forward. All right, some human resources, some new hires, a few people left, but you got to have that every month.
Sure.
No doubt
Sure.
about that. Marketing and community relations, we're doing it right now.
Absolutely.
You betcha.
Do it every month
You betcha.
or every week.
You've been practicing your dancing and being Dancing with the Stars.
With my
Participant?
bad knee? No. My catcher's
You only
knees?
have one bad knee? Being a catcher for all those years?
You remember those years, don't
I
you?
do remember those years.
I don't know. I bet you I could still.
But between the bad shoulder and the
Yeah.
bad knees. And,
Not too bad. I think I could throw a little bit. My boy, though, he can out-throw me now. And
well, your boy can throw it pretty good. Yeah.
That
He's got a good arm on him.
Yeah, and he's been working hard at it. Off-season workouts, and
Oh, good. Well,
he's
good for
pretty
him.
serious about it. So we'll
Good for
see.
him.
It'll be fun to watch.
I was kind of surprised when I saw him throw last year because he did not appear to me when he kind of let it go that he had much behind it. And then all of a sudden, the ball exploded out of his hand. I thought, well, kid's got a bit of an arm on him.
Got good flexibility. Worked on that for years. So
Well, he had a good teacher, right?
Yeah. Well, little bit of history behind
Well, let's
it.
put it this way: you had a good teacher to help you learn
Sure.
how to do better in your catch position. Quick release, getting the ball off, and then have something behind it. There's a way to throw correctly, and there's a way to throw incorrectly, isn't there?
Right. Oh yeah. So anytime, and I learned that early in my career,
Which is good.
Yeah. Of course, I did have some injuries because I was throwing improperly.
Who doesn't?
So I completely had to first rehab the shoulder, but not necessarily I had to do anything, no surgeries or anything, but I had to rehab my shoulder and then completely change my throwing style to where, and it's so much faster. My pop time increased significantly.
Yeah.
It was enjoyable. I miss it.
And there was no pain.
Yes, that's what I liked.
That's
what I like.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
The no pain. All right, let's go into a little bit of old business. We all know there's still a matching fund that's out there that the hospital is still working towards, correct?
Yes, we are still working toward that, working with the state and the contract. Unfortunately, they have the amount of time they started with the current fiscal year. So, and that ends in May. So it doesn't give us much time. So giving to be able to get grant funds to get a loan to be able to do the actual construction that was earmarked for it really, really limits us in time. So we're having to look at other opportunities to be able to capitalize on that.
All right, very good. Strategic plan update, a little bit with the Delta Fund discussion, obviously, but tell us a little bit more about what goes on with the strategic plan update, if you would.
So with the strategic plan, what we're looking at, we want to look at actually getting Delta involved to where they can help us possibly even fund that. Looking with people-centric We're supposed to have a meeting on December 5th with Delta to give them our plan of how we see what we want to do with our strategic plan, and
Okay.
getting that company involved would be my goal, people-centric. So possibly with them, Delta being involved, MHA, Missouri Hospital Association, as well as people-centric all together. So it should be something good to see.
Very good.
Good for
Very
the hospital.
There was a discussion last night, obviously, about COVID-19 vaccination.
Correct.
And this is a board decision. It was brought up at basically that a lot of hospitals no longer require that of their medical
Correct.
personnel. But it was something that still there is a responsibility of the hospital to their patients, is there not?
Right. Yeah. So the board had actually had a lot of discussion with that, and in the thinking of protecting the patients, and I understand, and being vaccinated, and I'm pro-vaccine. So being able to protect our patients, thinking about flu vaccine, COVID vaccine, they elected to continue to require the current policy, I guess you would say, and make sure to, according to the Advisory Council of Immunization Practices, the ACIP guidelines is what they recommend to stay with. So we are going to be working with maintaining that policy and making some updates and moving forward.
So policy revisions
Sure.
always happen.
Absolutely.
So yeah, as long as the board, we usually will get a suggested policy revision, then talk their way through it. Whoever writes it, I believe Ms. Gorman wrote this one, will have to go back and then redo whatever the board agrees to do.
Sure.
To make sure that is revised, and then they bring it back to the board for their approval. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, very
Yep.
good. So we're moving in that direction. All right. Health insurance.
Yes,
Lord,
yes,
let's
that
just talk
time of
about so
year.
much fun. And this year, Jason, it seems like everybody's getting just raked over the coals.
Yes, yes, and we did see a definite increase, and we were looking at, with our current rates, they projected a large increase, which,
I think the county had 27%.
yeah, 27%, and we were looking at upwards of 35% increase. When you think about claims being self-insured, and we proposed to the board of what we wanted to do as far as maybe the part of the employee portion, maybe increased a little bit. I mean, not significantly, obviously, but, just making them aware and moving forward with our health insurance. And they wanted to see if there's any other proposals we can look at right now. I mean, being close at the end of the year, it's going to be very, very hard to get that, and I understand that, but we're going to do whatever we can, and so we can get that taken care of for our employees.
Yeah. So is the hospital self-insured?
Yeah.
All right. So if it is self-insured, so just to clarify for people to understand, even though you're self-insured, you have, in case of a catastrophic claims, you have an insurer that helps you out.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, we still have to pay those claims.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a large expense to
Right.
the hospital.
Yeah.
But, and we want to make sure that our employees are taken care of. So, and the board is very much wanting to make sure that our employees are taken care of.
Very good. All right. Okay. CDs. The rates have changed since about a year and a half ago.
Yep, we had a
Quite drastically,
Yeah,
I
we-
might add.
We have a couple that are going to have come due, and the board elected to cash those in and renew them. So that was the motion that was made last night. I think
Right. So I think it was 524, 525, something like that.
yeah, it was something.
Over Town and Country Bank.
That's
okay.
correct.
Very good. Bank of Salem also has some, and they're not due till 2025.
Correct.
And there was some discussion of possibly renegotiating.
Yes, we were talking maybe of the possibility of reaching out and seeing what we can do with those if we, with the increased rates of what's the penalties. I mean, is there of what we can do? Do we want to leave those? Do we not want to leave those? Do we want to cash those in and renew them?
Well,
Lots
so
of
that's the rate it's at and the penalty you would pay, you may be better off paying the penalty and coming back and getting the interest.
Sure. Yeah, and that's true.
Yeah,
That's
it
true.
may be that way. So something to discuss. That's all I have. And you have something else that you want to add to it?
Nope, just continuing to do Salem Hospital what we do. That's about it.
Well, very good, my friend.
Keep looking for good people. Got some, always continue with our recruiting processes, and got some really good looking in the lab direction for our more lab tags. So we're good processes.
It takes time.
Mhm.
You know, when there's obviously turmoil that's happened, COVID started all of this problem. And when you have one ripple in the ocean, it's not that big a deal. When you have two ripples in the ocean, it becomes a little bit bigger, and then when all of a sudden you have a tidal wave that comes across you, it makes it very difficult. And we all know to recover, it takes time to get all those processes back to where they were, or maybe even better. And with the changing of different things and requirements that the medical field goes through every single day, from government regulations on the Fed side to the state side, it's a constant battle to stay up to date, isn't it?
Sure. It's nonstop. Staffing issues is across the board. Trying to find individuals that going into the healthcare field. I mean, you see staffing shortages, not just in Salem Hospital, but every hospital around us. It's not just nursing, it's multiple areas. There's a nationwide shortage in lab techs. So, I mean, it's not new to Salem Hospital. And I went to Delta Region Summit, and
Sure.
it was like they were explaining everything that Salem Hospital is going through. It's like they were talking about Salem Hospital, and these are other hospitals talking
Sure.
about themselves. So we're not alone in it. It's just how do we work and partner and network with people, and how did they fix this problem, and we can share some of our successes of how we've done back and forth.
And let's explain. Just take a minute. I don't want to go into great detail of this, but we all know Medicare is changing, and Medicare has continued to change to where years ago when you got on Medicare, you didn't pay anything. You didn't have a deductible. You didn't have to make contributions. You didn't have a drug plan. If you're on Medicare, you were on Medicare. You were good. And it's not that way anymore.
No.
And a lot of people hear about Medicare plans. There's Medicare Advantage. There's straight Medicare. There's obviously supplemental plans that go with it. And we're not here to talk about whether one is good or one is not good. But do talk if you are into that age bracket and you're getting that stuff. Remember where you are and what you are asking for in your plan, because sometimes those plans can be a little deceiving, and you say, well, I'm not going to have to pay a premium of this or a very small premium of this rather than this with a regular Medicare. Make sure you study it very quickly, because in some of those cases you have to be pre-approved to get anything done, even though you're on Medicare. You're not on, you are on Medicare, but you still have to go through some qualifications. So there's a lot of differences today than what it was 15 years
Sure.
ago.
Yeah. And I mean, that's where I'm saying always read the fine print, and really talk to your insurance agents and professionals and really get down and ask the questions.
Ask the questions.
Ask the questions. How is this in this situation? Think about what potentially could happen, and set yourself and then ask a question. What's going to happen if I do this with my labs? If I need this x-ray? What if I need to go in, for some reason I have to be admitted to the hospital? What does this process look like? Am I going to have to get things pre-certed? Am I not going to have to? Ask the questions. Do your due diligence.
And how long will it be before they actually get back to you?
Sure.
And go online, go to Better Business Bureau, go check whatever company you're going to use. I'm not going to say there are, especially for your like Medicare Advantage plan or your supplemental plans. There's different companies out there that offer these. Do make sure you do your due diligence before you sign on the dotted line, because some of those can turn around and bite you. Yes, you'll get stuck with it for a year.
Sure.
And then you can change next year. But if you have a real good one, you really don't want to change, and yet they keep trying to force you to get all this advertisements and literature and stuff about how our plan is so much better. And it might be.
Right.
It may be better. But remember, if somebody says something is free, it ain't free. There's nothing free
Nothing in
in the
life's free.
medical business, I can tell you that. So always keep that in mind. And I just want to remind people, because it is very difficult. I know what I'm on, and I'm not recommending whatever. Like I said, I'm not recommending any plans or knocking down any plans. Just know what you're getting before you get it. Because I was very fortunate. I had no problems getting anything authorized and what I had to do. So I had some tests, definitely had to take it. So, and I want to thank Salem Hospital again for my entry in there. I had some chest pains and got in there, and they did a good job and took care of me, fed me, and
Family taking care of family.
family taking care of family.
I'll call you family.
You should
every
call
day.
me family. We've known each other a long
Long time.
I've known you since you were still squatting down behind the plate.
I would. Yeah.
That could be you weren't squatting as skinny as you were now back then. You were a pretty good size young
I was a
lad,
good
wasn't
size. I was real good size. Had had some pretty good sized hams because I was
Yes, you
squatting all the
did.
time. So,
Yes, you did. Yeah.
yeah, and I really, and I loved catching, but I'll tell you, I really loved hitting.
Yeah, you did love hitting.
Yeah, that was kind of my passion.
Especially when you realized how you could use your wrists and drive the ball.
Yeah.
That was when you had your fun.
My problem is well, not necessarily a problem, because it was successful for me. I had a long swing, very, very long, so I extended a little bit too early, but it really improved my power to center field and right field. And once I figured out that outside pitch, I felt pretty good. It's confidence. It's what it takes, confidence.
You could shorten your swing. You could do it. I
Oh, yeah.
watched you do it. But when you wanted your power, you're right. You had a bit of a long swing.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you had a flat bat. Your swing was not an uppercut swing. You hit more line drives. Even a lot of your home runs were just line drives.
Yeah.
That just got out. So, and that's more impressive to me than those high fly balls that
Oh,
take
sure.
forever to get out of the ballpark. And you're lucky and you're hoping for good wind and everything else. You hit a ball up in the air like that and you got wind blowing in, you may just lose that home run.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the point of a baseball swing. It's a downward contact,
Yeah.
meeting the baseball to where trajectory and it flies with the proper backspin.
Right, the power
So,
backswing.
yeah.
That's what you want, that backspin, so it elevates, keeps
Sure.
going. Yes, sir.
we can
But
talk all day on that.
We could. We could have a lot more fun. Anyway, but it's Thanksgiving weekend coming up, and remember, if you have any questions about what you heard here at the hospital, you're more than welcome to find out more. They have all the documentation you want to. You can go down, see it at the hospital administrative offices. If you want to, call them 729-6626. And again, I wanted to thank Jason for coming in. I know it's a kind of a quick turnaround. I know it's a short week, and so to take the time to come in, I do thank you, sir. Always do thank you. And,
You bet. Appreciate
and
you.
all the efforts that our hospital does. And again, if you want to attend the board meetings, they're the first Tuesday after the third Monday, unless there's a holiday or Christmas or
Right.
something of that
Unless they
nature.
change those
And
days.
they
yeah.
may change
They
those
will
days.
make that public.
So next month we have a different meeting date.
Yes, and I don't know that date.
I don't either. Off the top of my head, I know we have one,
Yep.
but anyway, we'll get that out there.
Sure.
I know we had to move it up. Usually with the
It was
holidays.
we was in the last.
It was the last meeting.
Yeah, it was in the last meeting.
Last two meetings, actually.
Mhm.
It just wasn't in this one. Right when you really need it.
Oh yeah, when we were talking about it.
Oh, that's all right. Anyway, but December is a different time. Usually the hospital board and the medical staff and everybody kind of get together and they do something a little bit different than the normal just board meeting. But again, we want to thank Jason for coming in. We want to thank our hospital board. They do a lot of great work. There's a lot of discussion behind the scenes. I know people don't see them. And if they don't attend the meeting, they don't really know what goes on. But that discussion on that COVID vaccination, we did in about, a minute? How long did that take last night? About 35 minutes?
Oh yeah, it
Or
was
40
a
minutes?
long discussion.
Yeah.
But that's good.
But that is good. That's what I'm
that's,
trying to point out.
um,
It's not just a stamp, rubber stamp to it. It's a lot of discussion, bantering back and forth.
Right. I mean, again, everybody's point of view about vaccination. And ultimately, what's the best process for Salem Hospital? And I think that's where the board is heading in a direction, and that's what we're going to do for Salem Hospital.
One day at a time,
One
my
day at a
friend.
time.
What's that motto again? That Jason motto?
One team, one fight. One family for every patient, every encounter, every
And
time.
one meal.
There you go.
Just throw that one in.
One
for things.
turkey.
One turkey won't get the whole family in. I can tell you that. But anyway, again, one thing, Jason Edwards, our hospital administrator, he was doing a great job over there. And I want to thank everyone at Salem Memorial Hospital for all the work that they do locally right here in supporting our community. And they do a lot of different things. And a lot of times people lose track of that, but they are very involved in our community. We want to tip our cap to you guys all the time.
Thank you.
Really do a fantastic job. We invite you to keep it right here on KSMO Radio. We have coming your way a look at our civic record. We also have some weather information coming your way. And tonight, some sports with Missouri Tiger basketball and Blues hockey. It's going to be a full day on this Wednesday. Again, thanks to Jason Edwards, our hospital interim CEO. I think I'll take that interim away.
I don't know.
That would be nice.
One of these days.
One of these days. Thank you, my friend. Really
Thank
do
you.
appreciate it. Keep it here,
Appreciate
KSMO Salem.
This is family nurse practitioner Terry Bruno from SMDA